Welcome to the Silver Screen Podcast. I'm Jared Boomer.
And I'm Katie Gainey West. This is a podcast about movies and pop culture.
And today we're reviewing the latest Marvel movie, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, the sequel to Black Panther. Of course, Chadwick Boseman has unfortunately passed away, the lead star. So how did they handle this sequel and the continuation of the Black Panther story? We will talk about that here on today's episode. Obviously, as we get towards the end of the year, this is one of the more anticipated movies that was left on the calendar. So a lot of people very interested in this one.
Yes. I also think we might have a rare occasion where Jared and I differ on a film.
I think we are going to disagree a little bit. So,
Jared, before we get into it, I did want to tell you, I talked to my brother about the Daniel Radcliffe episode.
Okay.
I saw, that's what I'm now calling the Daniel Radcliffe episode. Because he was like, oh yeah, I don't understand what was funny, because he hadn't listened to it. And I was like, well, just know that if you choose to listen to this, and he is flying back to Spain now, where he is currently residing. And I was so excited to see him. And he is flying back today, in fact. And he even said he's going to catch up on the Silver Screen podcast. So I'm glad I warned him. And I was like, Sean, I just want to clarify. I don't think you're attractive. You're fine, but as a human, but you're not, let's not make it weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, he just said, you're weird, Katie. And then left.
Classic Sean comment.
So. we still love each other, and he came to see my play and said it was very good.
And he has been a guest on this podcast before. So
he has twice.
Yeah, Big Lebowski and the new Matrix movie, which I forget the title of because it was
Resurrections.
Yeah. So. Okay, some news items. First up, we got to talk about Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon is currently expecting 2 children with 2 different women.
One was born this week.
What? Yes. Yeah, one was born, and then the info came out that he is also expecting another child with a separate woman, obviously, than the one that just had one of his children. So he's got 11 kids right now. I think that's with, 6 different women? 5 or 6 different women?
I don't even know. It's so disgusting.
So many.
And it is irresponsible. It's gross. What example are you setting for your kid? You know what, too? I'm not someone who's like, you have to be married, you have to do it in order. I don't care. Do what you want. It's your life. When you cannot live in a house with 11, however many kids, you're not being a father in the same way that you could be. Like, at this point, I don't know what he's doing. I guess it's not illegal, but it seems very irresponsible to me and inconsiderate and disgusting.
Yeah. Yep. I did stand next to Nick Cannon once. He was at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the red carpet, I think, for the Indy 500. And I was also on the red carpet as a media member. So I was pretty close to him. Did not get impregnated by him. Just want to throw that out there. Did not have that happen while he was in my presence. So that's good. Don't know if he impregnated anybody that day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Wouldn't put it past him, though. So
probably. It seems like he impregnates people the minute they get together. And I think he has people on standby. I'm serious. I think, let's say it's Lola and Gina.
Yeah.
He'll be like, okay, I'm leaving Lola's house now. Can I come over to yours, Gina? And he goes over there. He gets her pregnant. Then he leaves. And then the next day they make an announcement that Lola or Gina's pregnant. It's wild. Yeah. I don't get it. And he's so proud of himself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what example are you setting for your kids and other people?
Yeah. So that's a wild situation there. Also, Jimmy Kimmel is going to be hosting the Oscars once again. That was announced earlier this week. I think Kimmel is a fine Oscars host.
He's a great host.
Would I have liked to see maybe somebody else, possibly just because he's done it a couple times before, but he did do it the year the big fiasco happened with the Best Picture winner, and I thought he handled that situation very well. He's also pretty funny. He works for ABC, so it kind of makes sense. Obviously, you can't get Ellen anymore based on what comments have come out about her, and
they also, people go across the street to see him after they win and stuff. To me, Jimmy is a very safe choice. He's a great choice. Like, he's very even keeled. He has really, I think, done a pretty good job about political topics and stuff, and healthcare, and being outspoken about that, but shows emotion. He's a really cool, I think, a cool human. I think he's a good choice. I also think you just know, if someone's going to slap somebody, physically assault somebody, whatever, Jimmy Kimmel's probably a good person to have standing by. Other people could be too, like Ricky Gervais and stuff. That is too up in the air, too wild west. I think Jimmy is a great option. Sure, I'd love to see somebody else, but I'm totally fine with this.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's a perfectly fine choice. So, and he used to do radio before he was on TV. And I think that experience, being somebody that is in radio, I think that experience of having to like think quickly on your feet sometimes helped him in that situation with the Best Picture fiasco. And then, like you said, if anything were to happen, like another slap or something wild and crazy, he would be able to adapt to that very quickly and make a joke about it and possibly move on. So, but hopefully there's no slaps this year at the Oscar. That was wild.
It's sad when the bar is so low. It's just hopefully there's no physical violence.
Yeah, hopefully
at an award ceremony for rich white people.
Hopefully we have no physical violence and we can read the right winners. And if we can do that, have a good time. Man, so
you have to get two things right: read the right name and don't punch somebody. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's it. Also, we have the announcement of People's Sexiest Man Alive for 2022, and this year's winner is Chris Evans.
Thank you for those crush alerts, Jared. You knew just what to do. I'm in love. I mean, I think we all know it. I don't shy away from my love for Chris. Did you also hear he's dating somebody? Seriously.
I did, yeah. I saw
Alba
that.
Batista, never heard of her. She is adorable / gorgeous. She's both things. Actually, if you watch Crazy Stupid Love, she's the perfect combination of sexy and cute is what she is. I don't really know much about her at all, but they've been dating for a year or over a year, it sounds like. Yeah, I mean, I'm also insanely jealous, but really I'm happy for them. But dang, it's like they heard me talk about Chris Evans on this podcast so much this year that they were like, let's just give it to him. He's Sexiest Man Alive.
What is the next movie Chris Evans is going to be in? I guess he was in The Gray Man.
Well, he's doing something with The Rock because Stephen Colbert got to announce People's Sexiest Man Alive last year when Paul Rudd won. Mm-hmm. And then he did it again this year, and they announced it because The Rock was on set with him, and he walked over to him and interviewed him for a second.
Okay.
I don't even know what that movie is.
I'm trying to find it right now. So, let's see. Upcoming projects.
I feel like he has... Oh, he Ghosted. That Ghosted one's got to be coming out soon.
Yeah, that's still in production right now with Ana de Armas and Adrian Brody. Red One,
and he's not in The Glass Onion, right? He's not in the new...
He is not, no. Red One is that movie with The Rock. That's supposed to come out next year. And then he's also in something called Pain Hustlers, which Emily Blunt is in. Little Shop of Horrors, which is still in early pre-production there. And then something called Bermuda and Untitled Gene Kelly film. So, don't know if he's going to play Gene Kelly. Not sure. So, that's all on IMDb. So
I'm deceased. I'm so excited.
We haven't heard much either about that Timothée Chalamet Wonka movie recently. I don't know what's going on with that, but
you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Timmy is promoting a film right now where he is a straight up cannibal / serial killer.
Yeah. It's got some wild movies. So congrats to Chris Evans.
He picks weird projects, but dang, I love him so much. The love is not dying.
Just want to say congrats to Chris Evans, Sexiest Man Alive for
We're so happy for you, Chris.
Can't debate
we love
it.
You.
I thought maybe Harry Styles was maybe gonna, take it this year just because he had a huge year.
There's been too much controversy.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's been too much. Even if he's not involved, or even if you know what? Let's have you heard the rumors that Florence might have kissed him, like that they might have had a thing?
No, okay.
Because I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying, if they kissed or flirted or anything before he got with Olivia, I could also see reason for why there would have been more of a feud.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
And Florence is definitely texting, or not texting. She's definitely posting more on social media about the movie The Wonder. Mm-hmm. Then she definitely didn't do any of that for Don't Worry, Darling. Yeah. So I'm just saying, I've tried to stay away from it, but I'm still watching.
I think there's still some drama there. So,
yeah.
Okay, on to our thoughts about Black Panther Wakanda Forever. We're going to roll past corrections, and we didn't really have any recommendations either this week from either of us. So we're going to go right into Black Panther Wakanda Forever, released on November 11th, rated PG-13 for sequences of strong violence, action, and some language. It's 2 hours and 41 minutes. And on IMDb, it's a 7.4 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes critics Rotten Tomatoes critics is 84%, audience 95%. So both groups really enjoying this movie. Domestically, it's made $181 million, worldwide $331 million. So it's approaching $500 million. It will definitely make over $1 billion. That will happen at the rate it's going right now. So just give it a few more weeks. And the synopsis: the people of Wakanda fight to protect their home from intervening world powers as they mourn the death of King T'Challa. This movie is directed by Ryan Coogler. He's only 36 years old. Very good director. He was a writer and director of Fruitvale Station. That's a great movie if you haven't seen it.
That movie destroyed me.
It's depressing, but it's very well done. So Fruitvale Station. Then, of course, he did Creed, and he was a producer on Creed 2, but I don't think he directed Creed 2. I think he just directed the first Creed. And Michael B. Jordan is obviously directing the third Creed, which is coming out next year with him and Jonathan Majors. I got a preview for that while I was watching this movie. And he, of course, directed the first Black Panther. He also produced Judas and the Black Messiah as well.
Jared, you are absolutely right. I think Rotten Tomatoes said Creed 2, but on IMDb, I think you're right also. He was executive producer on Creed 2.
Okay. Gotcha.
But he was not a director of Creed 2. So thank you for double checking that.
No problem. He was nominated for an Oscar when Judas and the Black Messiah was nominated for Best Picture in 2021 because he was a producer on that movie. And he's also directing the upcoming TV series Scenes for Minors and a movie called Wrong Answer. So Ryan Coogler, a lot of stuff happened in his career already. Again, he's only 36 years old. So we'll take a break here on the show. We'll come back, talk about our cast for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, our likes and dislikes, and my movie theater experience as well, which was wild. We'll talk about that coming up right here on the Silver Screen Podcast. Okay, welcome back on the Silver Screen Podcast, talking about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. We'll head into the cast now. And of course, we have Letitia Wright, who plays Shuri. That's our lead in this movie. She's taking over the main duties in this one. She gets the most screen time. So she's theoretically the lead for this film.
Thank you, Jared. I think it's Letitia Wright, and I also could be wrong. I know she plays Shuri. I'm actually more worried I'm going to butcher the names of the characters. So please correct me. And I did put a lot of different either cultural backgrounds or ethnicities because I think it's fascinating, and I really like knowing that about these people, and they're very proud of their heritage, the stars of this film. And this film centers around Black actors, so I wanted to highlight that. Letitia is a Guyanese-British actress who is best known for Black Panther, Sing 2, Death on the Nile. I typed Death on the Nike. That's funny.
I saw that. I was like, is that a movie I haven't
people
seen?
didn't need to know that, but it is funny. Death on the Nike was the B movie. No, I'm kidding. Death on the Nile, Ready Player One, and The Silent Twins. In 2018, she was nominated for an Emmy for her performance as Nish on an episode of Black Mirror. And then next up, she will star in Surrounded.
Very nice.
I do have comments on Letitia later, but we can bring that up later. Cool. Yeah. Next up we have, Jared, get that crush alert button ready, Lupita Nyong'o. Thank you, Jared. I love her so much. She plays Nakia. She is reprising that role in this film. She is a Kenyan-Mexican actress who is best known for 12 Years a Slave, Black Panther, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, and Jordan Peele's Us. In 2014, she won a Best Supporting Actress Oscar for her role in 12 Years a Slave. Next up, she will star in A Quiet Place Day One, which I already looked up, and John Krasinski is not directing it.
Okay.
He is, I think he helped write it, and he might be like producing or executive producing it. I know it said on IMDb based on a story by John Krasinski.
Okay.
Or an idea. I think an idea.
Oh, okay.
And Lupita, I was just reminded of her Oscar win yesterday when I was working on the notes. And so sometimes when I'm sad or just need to feel good about life, I watch people I love, their Oscar speeches. This is a real thing I do. I've already watched her speech many times, but I hadn't watched it in a while. So I watched it and it made me tear up. So really happy for her. It was a very earnest, thoughtful speech. Way to go, Lupita. Anyway, I love her. That's all. Next up, we have Danai Gurira. She plays Okoye. She is an American Zimbabwean actress. I think she was born in Iowa, if I remember that correctly. Can you double check that?
Yeah, I'll look that up for you.
Thank you, sir. She is best known for Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, The Visitor, and Avengers Endgame. Next up, she will be in a TV series that is currently noted as an untitled Wakanda project, which made me very excited.
And she is from Iowa. You are correct.
Isn't that crazy?
So,
I just feel like you never... I feel like I seldom hear of people from Iowa, period. I just don't hear that a lot.
Yep.
Maybe not famous actors. Now, if you all are saying like there's a spectacular all-star cast of this film, you're right. We usually only highlight 2 or 3. But other people that star in this film include Winston Duke, the Angela Bassett, Martin Freeman, Florence Kasumba, Tenoch Huerta, I have so much to say about him, and Dominique Thorne.
So there's your cast for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I guess I could talk about my movie theater experience now.
I have to hear this.
Crazy.
I'm so excited. Please.
So I just want to throw this PSA out here. If you cannot go to a movie and not act like you're watching it at your house, then don't come to the movie theater. I had these 2 people next to me who I think were maybe also under the influence of marijuana. It seemed like they were maybe a little high before they came into the theater. Nothing against that. That's perfectly fine.
No, live your life.
Live your life. Yeah, exactly. But it was a dad and a daughter. And this.
Okay, now it got weird. I was fine with it up to that. Okay. Please continue. I'm enjoying it already.
This guy was talking at full volume throughout a lot of the movie, just making comments to his daughter about the film. And this is not a spoiler, but the beginning of the movie starts. We have our opening sequence, and then the Marvel thing comes up, and it's all Chadwick Boseman, as it should be. There's no music. They very intentionally did
beautiful choice
for dramatic effect. And this guy goes, while that's going on, what did he die of again? Just about that loud. So, and that man asked that question about 4 times throughout the movie. He also commented on tons of stuff that was happening with the movie. Again, at full volume, was talking louder than the audio of the movie at some points. So, I can't wait to watch this again on Disney Plus when I actually can understand the whole script, because this guy was extremely loud. Maybe
that colored your opinion of the film.
It might have, but I tried to not let it have an effect. But it was an awful movie going experience. I about went out and got an employee because I was just like, this is ridiculous. I mean, this guy was just talking the whole time. And especially in not during big action sequences either. It was during quiet parts of the movie or emotional parts of the movie. And then I also found out just from overhearing their conversation, either one or both of them had not seen the first Black Panther. So they came into this one blind.
No, you can't do that.
And they also got up as soon as the credits started. So obviously their first ever Marvel movie, because they didn't know about the end credit scenes, but I wasn't going to remind them.
No, get out of here. You guys have ruined the movie.
Yeah, they were very talkative. That would be, I get if you're going to whisper, if you're going to have maybe a conversation, quietly, if you've got a comment to make or whatever. But to just be talking at full on regular volume during this film for a lot of the movie and he got up 4 times. He had to go get more popcorn and then get up and go to the bathroom. And then, it was this dude was just always active throughout the entire, I don't even know how much of the movie he caught between his talking and him getting up and down so many times. So,
well, that was a ride. Thank
it was. That. I mean, it's not. I don't know. It's up there with your experience of seeing 12 Years a Slave and people making out.
It's so funny that you had this experience when I had the experience of 12 Years a Slave. You all, Jared, actually, I feel like you have a better memory of it than I do, but that was when the people were practically fornicating, right? And I got violently angry. Wasn't I by myself? And then I texted you?
I think you were, yeah.
I think this is right. Okay, so I went to go see 12 Years a Slave, and Jared and I have been very good friends for a very long time. And I remember texting him, because we always text about movies. And 12 Years a Slave, not a positive movie. It doesn't have a great ending. It's not going to have a lot of uplifting moments.
Hard to watch.
It's dark. And it's 12 Years a Slave. It's obviously, these are important and hard topics. these two kids, probably 16, are like basically, I'm going to say fornicating for the kids that might listen to this podcast in the theater. Like, I don't know that they were, but they were close enough to me and doing enough that I was very uncomfortable. And I also was like, I felt like an old woman, and I was probably 21 or 22 at the time. Like, I was not old. I'm not even old now, but I was definitely younger. And I felt like I was 54 and I wanted to be like, where are your parents? I'm calling your parents. And I was so angry too, because I was like, not only are you disgusting and this theater is like there's germs everywhere, but also I just thought like, this is a very sensitive topic we're watching, like this movie, and you're being so disrespectful.
You're like, now's the time to get it on.
Yeah, that turns me on. Nothing turns me on like seeing about colonialism and enslaved people. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I really hope nobody ever uses that as a soundbite. I just realized that's exactly the kind of thing somebody would splice and be like, Katie is racist. Anyway,
yes.
But the movie, I will say that movie's excellent. If you have not watched that, the acting performances are astounding. They're so good. The movie's wonderful. I can't watch it frequently, though. It's a real downer. But those kids were disgusting. I don't know where they are now. They might have 4 kids at this point. Not really.
One of them's probably related to Nick Cannon. So
what? But it is funny that you had your weird experience and Lupita Nyong'o was in this movie. And she was in 12 Years a Slave. Okay. Well, connections. It's all
it was
connected.
Connections. I will say, I thought maybe going on Monday I would avoid the opening weekend crowd that can sometimes be crazy, but I will counter that with saying I went to the opening night showing of Spider-Man No Way Home, and everybody was fantastic. Nobody made any noise. It was a pack. Every seat was sold in that theater, but nobody made any noise. It was quiet. Everybody was just enjoying the movie. People clapped when there was like exciting moments, and like obviously the reveal of the 3 Spider-Men, that people were like, oh my gosh, that's like just really engaged with it. So that was really cool. I might have to just start going to opening night for Marvel movies again, to just get the people that actually want to watch the movie there.
Yeah, our theater wasn't bad. Some people were pretty talkative, but I would say it was the first hour, there was a lot of getting up and getting more popcorn, going to the bathroom, whatever, but people settled in, and for the most part, they were respectful. People were definitely visibly moved by the end. So, and speaking of, I would probably say from this point on, you know the drill, everyone. It's a Marvel movie, but there will be spoilers probably from this point on. So please leave, but make sure you come back if you don't want to hear the spoilers, but make sure you come back.
And watch the first Black Panther before you watch the second one.
Please watch the first one. It's great. Please.
It's on Disney Plus.
Wow.
I wanted to tell these people, like, hey, you could have gone home, spent $8 for a Disney Plus subscription for the month, and watched the first one, and just got some microwave popcorn and had a much cheaper afternoon. So okay, on to our likes and dislikes. I think we are going to disagree on this movie a little bit.
Great. Can't wait. I love it. That so seldom happens. It's kind of exciting.
You really enjoyed the villain. I did not enjoy the villain in this movie. But first, before I talk about why I didn't like it, him, why don't you talk about why you did like his performance? Okay.
Also, I forgot to put a note in here that you just made me think of. There was one aspect of the villain I didn't like.
Okay.
But the villain, mainly what I loved about the villain, that actor was great. I thought he was to me, and it's played by Tenoch Huerta. I have never seen him in anything. He does have some film credits, but I have not seen him in anything here before. So he kind of came out of nowhere. And I love when someone like that just shocks you. And especially as a villain, because I think it's easy to cross into like being Snidely Whiplash or something, and I didn't think he was like that. So I really liked his portrayal. To me, he seemed truly creepy, like almost, serial killers, they don't show empathy or anything, and they kind of have dead eyes. I thought that he was really good at playing that, where I was scared of him, and I felt like really the entire movie until the very end when his life was threatened, I felt like he did not show any remorse for anything he'd done, and I think that made him like a good villain. I liked the heritage. Like, I thought that was really interesting. Although I hear some people are dogging on something to do with indigenous people, but I don't really know the connection there.
Okay.
But I guess when we get to dislikes, or if you tell me what you didn't like, I can tell you the few things I maybe would have changed about the character, but it's more physical.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess we can just bring that up now. So my dislike was I thought he was not that menacing as a villain, actually. I thought
Oh.
Killmonger was a much more like I was really more scared
Yeah.
of him than I was of this particular villain. I thought his performance was okay, but I just didn't think it was. I wasn't scared by him at all. And then I thought just some of his like motivations were kind of odd as well. And I wanted there was parts where it was like too much backstory, but then there was other parts where there was like not enough backstory. So I just felt like it wasn't
Huh.
fully developed, and I just didn't really love the performance. And I also thought this is a separate thing, but I thought the CGI especially scenes he was involved in did not look very good at all. Like when he's jumping on the planes or whatever. And there was another part where I just thought it was very bad. That's not on him, obviously. That's just on
Yeah.
the visual effects artist. But I just thought the CGI for some of his parts didn't look great. But I just was not. I did not think he was a like fantastic villain. I thought Christian Bale in the Thor movie actually was a
Oh my.
better villain
So good.
than this guy was. And I just didn't feel like he lived up to the to the standard.
So I would agree with you that Killmonger is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Also very attractive. Hello, Michael B. But I thought that he was terrifying. I thought everybody of that I don't know if tribe is the right word, but that whatever they are, the people as a group, they were terrifying to me because anything that can just suck you into water freaks me out. People that have like superhuman strength or are super fast or like basically you cannot defeat them, that really freaks me out. And then so I thought he was menacing, and then I also it seemed to me like he just did not I was freaked out that he didn't seem to care about anyone or killing anyone. I don't know. The two things I didn't like, I know I said it was one, but it's like two physical things. The ear thing, I felt like the pointy ears, the pointy elf ears.
Yeah, it was kind of odd.
The wings, I thought that was a weird combination. And I also don't think of elf ears as menacing, like an evil trait.
And like his winged feet. Yeah, that was kind of.
Yeah. So the winged feet, the reason that bothered me was somebody in the movie, like somebody said something like, I've never seen anything like that. And I was like, I have. It's called the character of Hermes in Hercules. Like that's like a character in mythology.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not an original thought at all. So I was kind of bothered that people were like, oh my gosh, what a genius idea. And I was like, but it's not, it's not original. Okay. But yeah, there is one part though where Shuri breaks his like wing bone or wing off. I almost threw up. Like that, it sounded and looked so terrible, so disgusting. Also, yeah, Jared said that there was a woman in the theater that when Michael B. Jordan showed up,
the same lady that was talking the whole time. Yeah,
yeah. He said, "Oh," she said, "Oh, there's my baby daddy." Kudos to her. Good job, you.
But she hadn't seen the first one. I was almost gonna be like, yeah, he's in the first one for the whole movie.
Yeah, if you're like, if he's your baby's father, like maybe you should support his films. I know I would. But anyway, so we disagree on this. That's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. I like that we disagree. I'm going to stick to my thing. If anybody has any thoughts out there, let us know what you think about Namor as a villain.
I will agree with you on this point.
Yes.
Angela Bassett gives a fantastic performance in this movie.
She could get nominated for an Oscar, I think.
Yep. Yeah.
You heard it here first, everyone. It's November 15th. We always have to get these things on the record. If Jared and I are right, we have to note it.
That scene where she's, just like yelling and is basically just like, I've tried to do everything that I can do and all of this has happened. I thought that was just incredible acting performance in that particular scene. So,
and I know I spend a lot of time on this podcast talking about pretty people, but we are talking about movie stars. So of course they're pretty people, but I truly think Angela Bassett might be one of the most beautiful humans I've ever seen, period. And I feel like she looks the same as she did 20 years ago. Like literally the same, like hasn't aged a single day. It's wild. Stunning woman. Fantastic performance. So I'm glad we agree on that.
Also, cinematography was pretty good for this movie. Obviously, that's kind of a staple of any Ryan Coogler movie, especially if you watch like the first Creed movie. The fight sequences in that are just incredible, and the first Black Panther has some really cool action sequences as well, like that subway sequence, where they're
Oh
and then
yeah.
like the car chase. There's another car chase in this one that I thought was really cool. I don't know if that's going to become like a staple in Black Panther movies. Everyone has a car chase, but that's kind of a neat thing to have that in this one as well, when there was a big one in the first one. So, but yeah, cinematography was good in this movie.
Yes, to me, I think what really blew my mind, because Marvel movies, I mean, to me, it's like, yeah, the characters are cool. I liked the plot of this one, um, and they're all interwoven and stuff. But I just thought the production value of this film and the cinematography and all of it wrapped up together was stunning. And this is kind of a separate but I had put this in here. I think the opening sequence was one of my favorites in recent history, like in probably the last 10 years. And by opening sequence, what I mean is not when Shuri is crying and trying to save her brother. Again,
Mm-hmm.
we said spoilers were coming, so here you go. I mean the funeral scene. The funeral scene, we saw some of it during the previews leading up to the film, where everybody's wearing white and they're dancing and they're in a lot of like almost tribal or African looking, where it is gorgeous. But the dancing, the singing, the emotion you could see from the actors and the extras was astounding. I loved the opening sequence, and I thought a lot of the movie really like stayed consistent with how visually stunning it was. And I think what I like, because I like Black Panther a lot better than a lot of Marvel. Um, I like that there is so much, it seems like African culture or themes. I like that it's not all white people, that it's almost exclusively Black people. I like the music a lot better than a lot of the other movies. Like, I'm just really into the whole style of Wakanda and Black Panther.
Another like for this movie that kind of goes along with that is the costumes. Obviously, the costumes in the first Black Panther movie are incredible. Costumes here are really great too.
Yeah.
And each little tribe or group, if you will, has their own separate costumes that they wear. Like Winston Duke's character and his group, they have different costumes, and then Angela
Mm-hmm.
Bassett obviously wearing something different. Lupita Nyong'o, all of them have different styles and looks, and when it all comes together, especially during like the final sequence, it looks really cool.
Yes. Agreed. To me, the jewelry, the hairstyles, and the headpieces, everything people wore, like even when Letitia during the funeral, I kept thinking that those bones or the tusks, it looks like tusks, that those were earrings, and it actually was like a headpiece. And if you looked at it, it went behind her ear and came down, because I bet that would be super heavy on your earlobes anyway. Um, but just the design of all the costumes, the makeup, the hair, the headpieces, just exquisite.
So another like, and again, this is a spoiler, which we already said, but
Yeah.
they didn't show Chadwick Boseman until the end of the film. I figured he was gonna show up somewhere, either in like maybe. I'm glad. Okay, so what I want to say with the Chadwick Boseman thing is, I'm glad they did not try to like CGI recreate him.
Oh
I
my
think
gosh,
they've done
yes.
that for certain movies, and I think that would look very tacky and would
Yep.
look kind of dumb. So I'm
Couldn't agree
glad
more.
that in the beginning, during the Marvel sequence, the title card or whatever, they just showed clips of him from the first one, and
Mhm.
some of the Avengers movies, and then at the end here, you see like clips of him as well, and flashbacks. And again, there's like no music. I thought they did a good job of addressing it. They have to address it, obviously, that he's passed away and he was the lead star, and they do that at the very beginning of the movie, and then the movie kind of goes and does its thing, and then they come back to it at the very end. So,
I thought it was just the most beautiful way to honor him and show him. I thought it was very clever, and I don't think Ryan Coogler did this in any way for like money or anything. I'm just saying I thought it was so clever, specifically waiting until the end to show Chadwick Boseman, because
mhm.
I also think that ripped me apart. I mean, that's when the tears were flowing. Um, but it was just beautiful how they did it. And I think not everybody like experiences these movie montages and stuff in life, but I do think that a lot of the time we capture moments with people, significant things that happen, or if we have a loved one and they die. Part of like processing this is like you have these moments you just remember with them that were significant to you for whatever reason. So when movies do that, I don't actually think it's that weird. I think that's kind of realistic. We just don't see it with beautiful music, and not everybody looks perfect, and you
Mhm.
know our minds, sometimes we can get distracted even though we're trying to focus on one topic. But I thought the way they did that was so beautiful. And I think the movie as a whole, I think partly because it says a lot about Chadwick. I think that they honored him in a beautiful way and really tackled grief beautifully. I don't really know a better way to say that, but I think you can tell that Chadwick left an indelible mark on these people. And that they wanted to honor him, but also like continue on the story. And I think they did a really good job with that myself.
Yeah, I think the end or mid credit scene there with Shuri, where she's just kind of sitting there, and is just crying. You can tell that that's like, she's feeling that emotion, for real. Everybody on this movie said it was
Yes.
very emotional to work on, but I thought that was the very cool mid credit sequence where she's just kind of reminiscing on his life, and there's not even really much said in that scene that is in mid credits there. But I thought that was really, really well done in terms of like you said, honoring him. It's a very tough thing to do when your movie loses when the person the movie is named after, the lead character, T'Challa, Black Panther, passes away. It's going to be hard to move on past that. But I thought they did a good job in this movie. So,
yes.
Do you have any other likes before we move on to dislikes?
I just wanted to say that I've thought about this movie a lot since I saw it. And to me, I really had a pretty low bar. I thought, kind of like what you were saying, Jared, could have gone wrong. I was worried they were going to do something tacky with Chadwick's memory. Also, sequels just are I think sequels usually are very bad. I just expect them to be bad. To me, this was a very good sequel. I thought it continued on the story. I understood what was going on. And one of my favorite things, I forgot to mention this, unlike other Marvel movies, you should have watched the first one to see this one, but you didn't have to see every Marvel TV show, every Marvel everything to understand the story. And that's what I want. As someone who likes Marvel but is not obsessed with Marvel, I can definitely watch a first part movie. That's fine. You can expect that of me as a director or whatever. But I love that this movie was like, this was fully in the world of Wakanda, and that's all you needed to know. And that gave it pretty high marks from me.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of, as we've mentioned before, of keeping the Marvel TV shows on Disney Plus and the Marvel movies separate. And if you want to incorporate things from the TV show that are maybe Easter eggs or aren't overarching plot lines, then that's perfectly fine. But when you do something like Doctor Strange, where you have to have seen WandaVision before that really makes a lot of sense, I feel like that's going too far with the crossover there.
Yes.
So, okay, on to dislikes now. I have a couple. First thing is, I do disagree with you on this sequence. There's a scene where Namor is showing Shuri around this city. I just felt like at this point in the movie, we kind of grinded to a halt there for like 15 minutes, where he is explaining his backstory, and then like she comes into the city and they're showing her everything. And, as a viewer, I didn't really care much about that area. Nothing really happens in that area once she breaks out of it. And I just felt like that could have been 10 minutes that we could have cut of them going around this city. While it looked kind of cool, it wasn't really advancing the story at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
This is your dislike. No, I did not like that.
You did?
Yeah.
No, I didn't like that scene.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with you on that.
Oh, so, I'm sorry. Yeah. I thought you were saying...
No, we both agreed on that.
No, Jared, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, because I really debated about that, actually, because I thought, to me, overall, I immediately thought that movie was too long. But I also expect that of Marvel. So at some point, I just kind of don't care. I'm just like, yeah, this is going to be long, whatever. Buckle up. But that scene in particular, I thought if I cut anything, I immediately thought of that scene. I didn't have to think, replay most of the scenes. I immediately was like, that's the scene I'd cut. Because it's cool to see his underground city, whatever. And I think you could have even shown it. We didn't need 9 or 10 minutes of this music and floating through the water and seeing this village, and Shuri changed her outfit so that she would look more like a princess there. We don't need that. Because that also led me down a path of wondering if she was going to like fall in love with him. Like I thought it was going to be some weird like love story where they were going to fall in love, but they couldn't be together because they're like enemies. I wasn't sure. So I just felt like that was kind of misleading and a waste of time. So that was the only scene that I was like, yeah, we definitely didn't need that. And then a second dislike is I did think the movie was too long.
Yeah, I will agree with you, and I think the movie was also too long. 2 hours and
Yeah.
40 minutes is really long.
Yeah.
And another dislike that kind of moves into that or goes along with that is I thought there was a lot of plot lines here, but I thought like they didn't really connect very well. And they
Oh.
kind of just some could maybe have gone we could have gone without certain things, like the whole Martin Freeman plot line was kind of a separate thing, but that never really connects over to the plot line with Shuri and Namor. Those things never match up really. I mean, Martin Freeman's obviously aware of what's going on, but it seems like that might be something set up for the next movie, which is fine, but I just felt like we maybe could have gotten rid of that, or that could have been its own separate thing, like with the vibranium and Angela Bassett's character going to court and like testifying and all that. Like that could have been explored more. And then another part could have been the thing with Shuri and Namor. That could have been like another movie possibly. I just felt like there was kind of too many plot lines going on, but nothing was really, there wasn't a ton of story involved in a lot of them. I also would have liked to see Black Panther character earlier in the movie. I understand why they waited, but I thought it would have been cool if maybe we'd gotten that maybe halfway through the movie instead of like 3/4 of the way through the movie. I know they had to transition that character, and obviously the character of Shuri, she becomes Black Panther. So I understand why they waited, but I would have liked maybe that to happen just a little bit earlier in the movie, since it is called Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And then I also, let's see, I did not like the ending of the movie. I didn't like the truce between the two sides. I thought that was like a lazy cop out after this final battle.
Ooh, I definitely disagree on that.
Okay. Why did you
fun.
Why did you like the truce, or we're gonna stop fighting and agree?
To me, I think, can I say about Martin Freeman first?
Yeah, yep.
I love Martin Freeman, and I did want to point out to people what I like about these movies is he's the only white person we see. Like there are just Julia Louis-Dreyfus was in it
with
for a little bit.
With her purple hair.
With her purple hair. I didn't understand. So my friend thinks that they are setting up something with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So, but I agree with you, Jared. I really don't think we needed the Martin Freeman stuff in it. But he did kind of help them. Like, to me, I thought a lot of the plot stuff tied in well. Like, I understood why Namor had a bone to pick with everybody. I understood that Shuri, how she was grieving. I understood that Angela Bassett was worried about her only surviving child. Like, a lot of things made perfect sense to me. I understood that Martin Freeman was pulled in because he was going to help them and show his allegiance to Wakandan people. Anyway, so I didn't have issues with the plot, really, but I agree with you that maybe we didn't need so much of the Martin Freeman, Julia Louis-Dreyfus storyline. So I liked the ending because it could be me. Oh, in Black Panther, I'm sorry, you said several things that I was like, interesting. So part of this could be because I am not so deep in Marvel. And by that, I mean, like, a lot of people are really great at, like, they're educated about it and it's fresh in their minds and they watch these things over and over, and I don't. So it could just be that I'm a little too removed. I didn't even expect to see Black Panther. Like, I went into this movie thinking that this was a movie about Wakanda and the people of Wakanda, and they were grieving Chadwick's death. I didn't really think anything further than that. I just thought it's going to be cool. Let's go see it, whatever. So I didn't really care when that character showed up, if that character showed up, or who took over that role. And that being said, being a twin and everything and loving my brother so much, I did think it was very cool that Shuri was the one. And since I don't read the comics or anything like that, I didn't even know that was a thing that people already knew. Okay. Lastly, so I think with a lot of violence, particularly gun violence that we've heard about lately, no matter what side of the aisle you all agree on, people have pretty much agreed that men seem to be more of the issue for extreme violence. That is a fact. That is not me projecting. That is that is truth. We know that men are inherently a little bit more violent. Most of the gun violence, mass shootings, everything are attributed to men, usually predominantly white men, even though there was a shooting yesterday with a black man. But they have also talked about how women, we shouldn't discount them for the presidency or other political offices because women will have different ways of solving problems just because of differences in how we handle things. So to me, it made sense that there was a truce because I thought Shuri, is a woman, but I also thought she was really listening to what her brother would do and what she'd been taught. And that was to show mercy rather than seek vengeance, because if she sought vengeance, she'd be like Killmonger. She'd be no better than any of these other horribly violent, evil people. So I actually thought that ending made sense, and I liked that there was a truce, and it made sense for me with her character.
Okay.
Sorry if that was too much.
No,
everyone.
I think that makes sense. So, only other dislike was I felt like the Ironheart character, the Riri Williams character, was kind of unnecessary in this movie. I felt like they used her to get the information about the like vibranium detector thing, and then after that they still like take her back to Wakanda and everything. I felt like we didn't need to continue that storyline. Really, they could have showed up to her at the university there and talked to her and gotten that discussion, but then she becomes a big part of this movie, and I just felt like some of those scenes maybe could have been cut to for some time as well. That was just my thoughts.
That's a good point. We haven't even brought her up. I feel really bad.
No.
I mean, I mentioned her. So you were saying, did you say that she is going to show up later, or we don't know if she's going to show up later? I don't know if
she's going to show up later. It seems like they're setting that up, but it seemed like that could have been...
Yeah. Wait, no. I think Arjun or my friend Brandon, somebody told me that I think it was Brandon, that she's getting her own series.
Okay, gotcha. So that's why she's in there. I mean, that makes sense. So, yeah.
And I could be wrong, but he's usually right about these things.
No, that makes sense.
But I liked her character. I thought she was fine. I would agree with you. I thought her character was like adorable and funny. I think she was mainly there for comedic relief. And I did like that she was like a female scientist and really cool. That's just another thing in general I like about Wakanda. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to me that Black Panther is like a man, but this whole continent, whatever it is, this world, it reminds me a lot of Wonder Woman, where it's like, it's women, it's predominantly female led, and women are so respected. And so I just thought that was neat that she was in there, but that's just definitely another huge like of the film that I forgot to mention, is that I love that it's like so female led.
Yeah. Yep. That is a cool thing with this movie. So, okay. Well, I think that's all my dislikes. If we want to move on to grades.
Oh, I had one more.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, we don't have to close on this. I mean, we can move on. But I did read some things about Letitia Wright being like anti-vax. Now, some of the stuff I read was that it was the height of the pandemic, which does influence my opinion on this. If it's the height of the pandemic and we're trying to get people vaccinated and we're trying to help people stop dying, you as a celebrity who has an enormous platform, especially someone that's part of Marvel, probably should not be spreading dangerous misinformation to people, especially if you're not a medical doctor or an immunologist. Like, I don't need to know your opinion. I didn't ask. I don't need to know, especially if it's misinformation. Now, I did read, I think some of it could be taken out of context because it does. However, at the same time, I would also say to her, because she reposted, this whole thing started because she reposted something that some moron had said about don't get vaccines. I think what's bad about social media, what's dangerous about this, is you shouldn't repost things if you don't know what you're reposting. So I think that's where she was in the wrong. But then it sounds like she's continued that conversation in a negative way. That's where I think it's dangerous. So anyway, I don't love it, but I can't ding the movie for it. But I did want to mention it because I know people who love the Marvel Universe and stuff, you know about that, and you know about the controversies and things surrounding it. I think she's quite religious. I too am religious, but I think vaccines are great. And I just think people really need to be careful when they have that kind of platform about what they share and how they share it. And also, if you don't have a degree in it, like, I'm not going to be teaching, I don't know, quadratic equations. I don't understand them. Like, I'm not educated in that. So it's none of my business. I don't need to be sharing it. So anyway, that was kind of disappointing, but I will not remove points from the movie for that.
Okay. Are we ready now to give our grades?
Yes, and I think you're first.
Okay.
Are you first?
I think so.
I think you're first.
I'm going to give Black Panther Wakanda Forever a, let's see here. I'm going to give it a 71 out of 100.
Wow, I thought you'd do 76. That's so funny in my brain that yeah.
I liked it. Obviously, I had
Okay.
issues with it. I thought it was, too long. Lots of storylines going on. I thought that some of them maybe weren't necessary to advance the plot of the movie. I tried to not put the people that were talking the whole time factoring into my decision making
Yeah.
on this film, obviously. But I think just 71 out of 100 for me. I think looking back on Marvel movies, I think I like Shang-Chi a little bit more than this movie.
Love
I think
Shang-Chi.
this is better though than Thor, and I forget what I gave Doctor Strange. I think it was somewhere close to this. But I think this is a little bit better than both of those. So
You did 77 on
oh,
Doctor
okay,
Strange. Sorry, you did 73 on
okay.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I did 77. I
So it was
am
very
making
close.
this.
Okay,
Yes, I'm doing a score lower than I originally thought on this movie, but I really did enjoy this movie. I would say out of the ones that came out this year, because the Spider-Man one was not this year, right?
no, it was into last
Sorry.
year. So
Okay, sorry. I don't know what year we're in. I don't know what day it is. I think this is definitely my favorite Marvel movie so far this year.
okay,
Not Thor. Which Thor was cute? Because it's only been those three, right?
yeah, yep. I think it's just
Yeah.
been 3. Yeah,
So I'm giving this an 89. I didn't think it was perfect, but I really liked it. I do think what they got perfectly was tackling this conversation of grief, addressing it, and the way they did it. I loved it. So high marks from me, but not as high as the audience overall is scoring it on like Rotten Tomatoes.
there you go. There's our thoughts on Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And you can follow the show on social media at Podcast Silver on Twitter and Instagram. Search the Silver Screen Podcast on Facebook, and you'll be able to find us there. Our Letterboxd profiles are in the show notes, so you can click there and follow us on Letterboxd if you would like. Next up, we are going to be reviewing the new movie She Said, about the scandal involving Harvey Weinstein and the New York Times investigative reporters that researched that story and broke that story, starring, of course, Carey Mulligan, Zoe Kazan. I've already seen it. Katie has not seen it yet. So we'll talk about that on next week's episode. I know you're excited.
I'm so excited. It's one of the things I've been most excited about movies, and I finished the book. It was great.
So
Can't wait.
there you go. On our next episode reviewing She Said.
Until next time, we'd like to thank the Academy.